out for a minute, and I'm going to test the thing. Let me try something. We are testing a... well, that's not helping anyone. Cancel. Okay, so give me a sec. I'm going to try something very quickly. I'm not officially starting the stream for another 5 minutes. I'm just kind of vibing with the camera on, so... if anyone is in the chat and you cannot see or hear me, you should tell me. If you can, feel free to say hi, because I love it when people say hi. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to open this up. Boom. Okay, now... Where's that? Now I'm going to try something. Pop this open. Then we add a... boom. Let's try that. Let's go with, okay. Okay. So that's not helping anyone. That is not the right discard. Yes, okay. We don't want that. Alright, that is not what we want. Display capture. Let's try this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, that's... Nope, we do not want that. Boom. We want to do this. Action. Let me try some... okay. Wait a second. Let me try that. No, we need to do this. Then, hang on. Whoa. Okay, that's a little more manageable. Let's try something like this. Ready? Put that there. Hello, everyone. Now, we go like this. Bop. Okay, then we... Yes. Okay. Hi, everyone, by the way. I am, messing with the, technicalities. So what we're going to do is this. And, say hi in the chat, by the way. My name is Lee. He him vibes today, but he, they is also good. So what we're going to do is bring this up. And what should happen... Of course, I realized there's a bit of a problem with this plan. The problem with this plan being that even if I were to bring up the display like this, I can't, it won't work. That is to say, I could have this up, for example, and show you all this, which is to show you the book. But I'm pretty sure that would be a... Yeah, okay, so it works, but as soon as I can't, alright, this, okay, let me fix it, give me a sec. So this plan only works if I have multiple screens. That would work if I had multiple screens. I do not have multiple screens, which means that we are looking for plan B. I don't know what plan B is, but we're gonna figure it out. Let me, yeah, okay, so I'm gonna get rid of it for now. Yes, and we are gonna figure it out later. Sorry for messing around. My name is Lee. Let's try this again. It is, well, we still have 1 minute, and I said I was gonna start the stream at 6, and So welcome everyone. I'm going to give everyone who isn't here right now a minute to show up, if they want to. I'm doing a Warhammer 40k stream, as you might have seen. I have the Rogue Trader book icon up in the corner of my screen right now. Oh, this is the wrong notebook. So I have one notebook that I specifically use for stream. That's this one. Same one I always specifically use for stream. And I have another plan that I can execute if given a minute. Which is, I really do need a screen to create a not right now screen, like we'll be back in a minute kind of screen, so that I'm not live automatically. But that's okay. I lost my one viewer. That's okay. I'm not worried too much about viewer numbers, because I know that my viewer numbers are often wrong, which is a shame, because it'd be nice to be actually able to know how many viewers I had. Okay, it is 6 p.m., so we're going to get this show on the road. Welcome everyone. My name is Lee. Him vibes today. She or they is fine though. I am creative. We do here on the stream we do character creation. Although for various tabletop RPGs. Today we're doing Rogue Trader. I usually switch off between Rogue Trader and Pathfinder, first edition. And last time on stream, I was working on, I streamed, I believe it was Tuesday. And I was working on Odette. I rolled her name randomly. As a straight girl, because apparently the dice have decided that all my Warhammer 40k characters are going to be straight girls. So that's cool. So I worked on an origin path for her. So I'm going to show up the origin path graphic. Yes, I do have some of these up here. I'll scooch a little bit. I'm working on seeing the PDF, but for now what we have is this. So every Warhammer 40k character comes with a path along this handy-dandy chart, and each step along the chart, you pick one from each row, and it gives you some mechanical benefit, and it details a part of your backstory, which then you can like fill in more specifics as you go. For example, Homeworld, the previous Warhammer 40k character we have, which was Janthine, was from, we did Hive World, and then I actually outlined her Homeworld a little bit, Visceria, which had some detailed notes on that here. I love world building. World building and character creation are my passion, as well as other aspects of tabletop RPG, but I don't have a lot of organizational skills and schedules that mesh well with other people, and the kind of skill needed to put a game together for stream. So for now, I'm doing character creation and world building on stream, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. If not, it's fine. You don't have to watch. Why are those? I don't know what those are. Okay. We have... I don't know what those are. Okay. So we're going to ignore them. Alright, let me just make sure that you can still see. Yes, okay, good. But my point in all of that was that with the built-in backstory, I rolled up Odette. So I did Voidborn for Odette, which means that her homeworld was not a home world, but a home ship. And she ended up as an arch militant. The one last thing we have to do. So, her statistics, which I rolled up last time, were 32 ballistic, 36 weapon skill, 28 strength, so not great, 27 toughness, also not great, 35 agility, 29 intelligence, 36 perception, 46 willpower, so very strong-willed and kind of met everything else, 39 fellowship, so not terrible. So the last thing, here, I will read from the book. I'd show you, but as we already established, it gets kind of, I won't be able to see. Oh, I could do that. That would be a thing. If I had that might be a possibility, but it would require, a little more prep time than I have. So we're just not going to do that right now. So the theory of character creation, when you create an explorer, they base, the system advancement on experience points. Instead of having levels, what you have is ranks. And instead of getting, going from one rank to another and you get a set amount of bonuses each time, like in D&D, for example, or Pathfinder first, or even second edition, what you do is when you level up, when you get enough experience points, you level up, and then at that level you get more hit points, you get sometimes more spell slots, more attacks, you get a whole suite of things that you get as a package deal right when you level up. Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, however, is not like that. The level up theory on Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader is that you spend experience points as you get them. So the DM, or the GM in this case, will give you out a couple hundred per session, depending on how well you did, and if your explorers did anything cool, and whether or not your party had to kill demons, or whether they made it through relatively unscathed. They'll dole out whatever, however many experience points they think you guys earned. And you can then spend those on getting advances for your character, boosting your stats, or, getting certain skills, or etc. Skills, talents, upgrading your bionics, parts, various things. The reason that comes into play in the beginning of play is because of a little compatibility thing. So Warhammer 40k, the Rogue Trader version, is supposed to work with other ones like Only War or Dark Heresy. Basically, the characters from one set are supposed to be compatible with another. To allow for that, what they did is they said, to allow for that, basically what they did was grant a certain number of experience points at the beginning to spend while creating your character. So you gain a certain number of experience. The ranks are based on experience points spent. So to obtain rank 1, you have to spend 500 experience points. And then there's a bunch that you are... the math works out in a weird way, basically. Basically, it's supposed to have been spent over the course of your backstory, and you don't actually get to do anything with it. It just kind of comes standard, which I think is kind of weird, but it was a way to mathematically make the power levels of the characters make sense. So, you get a certain... you get 500 experience points to spend while making your character that then... and once those are gone, you achieve rank 1. And then, once you spend 500 experience points on advancements, you make rank 1. And then another list of advancements you can also take opens up. And then, once you spend enough experience points and you've been playing and you gain experience points constantly because at each session, and then once you spend a certain amount, you get to rank 2, and there's other upgrades and stuff you can take, if that makes sense. It's actually quite a fun game. And it's not a bad system. The idea that you don't just get everything all at once, that you kind of get better piecemeal, is actually quite a good one. And I do approve of it very much. The only problem with that is that to really make a character in the strictest sense of the word, you have to, at least in my mind, expend up the remaining the 500 XP, and the only way you can really do that is on stat boosts, which is a good thing, I think, because it just allows... the math's a little weird, but once you get used to it, it's kind of like, oh, this makes some sense. I think as a standalone game, having a certain amount of experience points already has counted as being spent is a little weird, but if the math works for the other games, I guess I can understand it. I also have a whole segment on how RPGs 101, which is pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is go to... I'm going to work with Odette for a little bit, and then I think I'm going to create one more character. So I could either do... because today's Warhammer Day, what we could do is get another crew member, because I'm setting... What I'm doing with the Warhammer 40k characters that I'm building, I've got 2 so far, Jantine and Odette, and like all the Pathfinder characters kind of all exist in the same continent, if not the same country, and they're all kind of similar time period. They're all from the same world, their backstories often tie into each other. What I'm doing with the 40k characters is building up a ship full of completely randomly generated characters, which then I could do something really cool with. For example, I could hand them out to players to run for a one-shot. If that would be something really cool, I think that would be something very cool I could do. Or just have a ship full of cool Rogue Trader characters, which I think is pretty cool. As that's what I do. I create, characters and storylines on stream. Live on stream. That's kind of the whole thing I do. So, for now, we've got Odette, and we're going to do the spending of experience points. So, go to the career path. She is arch-militant. So, I'll read out the parts of the book, because this is very fascinating. I tend to find, and it's fun flavor text. The 41st millennium is an age of total war, an age of bloodshed and toil, into which every human being from the lowliest hive serf to the highest scion of nobility is born. No life is untouched by the incessant wars that plague the Imperium, and countless lives are shed each year to hold at bay the forces of the traitor, the heretic, the alien. From amongst the uncounted ranks of warriors step those for whom a life of bloodshed and war is not a death sentence, but rather a calling. Such men and women are sometimes called arch-militants, for they have faced death over and over and have mastered every terror the savage galaxy has to offer. You'll notice that a lot of the Warhammer 40k prose tends to be kind of overblown. It's very stylistic. I personally find it kind of cool. It's a style choice for sure. Myriad are the roots of the arch-militant. Many have served amongst the ranks of the Imperial Guard and somehow survived against all odds. Battles and campaigns that have claimed the lives of their entire regiments. Others have risen up from the native stock of hellish death worlds or the survivors of catastrophes too terrible to contemplate. For every last stand and total defeat, it always appears that one of a handful of warriors will somehow prevail. These are the men and women whose broken but still breathing bodies are recoverable from the rubble, who have dug themselves out from beneath the mounds of corpses to fight again, those few who the war zone, no matter how terrible, fails to break, but instead reforges into killers without peer. Invariably, they are reassigned to other units where their invaluable skills or simply their luck is hoped that it will serve their new compatriots. In time, such individuals may attain the notice of high commands and become detached special units to undertake or do or die missions against the deadliest of foes, while others may go rogue and disappear. Some even come to serve for the personal staff of such worthies as Lord Militants or Inquisitors, and occasionally, alongside influential rogue traders, as their own personal agents of destruction. The Archmilitant is an expert in every form of combat. It is no idle boast that there is no weapon they cannot kill with or strip and reassemble in the field. Each has an unerring ability to master even the most exotic wargear with little or no practice, and fears death little and pain less. But it is not just expertise at arms that sees the Archmilitant succeed where others fail. They are marked with an inborn gift to sense danger and to anticipate an enemy's actions and overcome any foe they might face as if it were meant to be so. An Archmilitant worth the name can extricate himself and his companions from even the most seemingly hopeless of situations by a combination of cold professionalism, masterful skill at arms, and sheer bloody-mindedness and luck. Out beyond the fringes of Imperial space, men and women gifted with such abilities are priceless, and very few rogue traders would set foot upon an alien world with a heavily armed Archmilitant or two by their side, if possible. So, that is the deal with Archmilitant. This is what Odette has become. She started out just some brat on a spaceship and scavenging through the rubble, and now she is master of arms, killer without peer, which I think is kind of cool. So they got her so far in our ship, which we should probably come up with like a name for it and like more backstory, because storytelling is what I do. But I should also start. Remind me. I'll put that down later. Sorry. Just checking in my streaming buddy. I got my little fish here. But explorer. Okay, so what we can do with this is is go to Archmilitant, and I should probably write down all of the starting equipment and things. I didn't do that last stream. Not yesterday, but last stream I didn't do it, but it's worth doing. So we got some skills. We got Common Lore War, which is an intelligence-based skill. Not great intelligence. Based. We got Dodge, always a good one, which I think allows you to roll make an extra roll. If your enemy is hit, you can make a dodge check against your agility to try and as your reaction. But then if someone else attacks you, you can only do it once. So Intimidate. Which is Strength. Intimidate's a little weird. Usually it's Strength, but it has variant rules which allow for, say, Intelligence if you come up with some really crazy blackmail, or Charisma if you're, or Fellowship rather, if you're trying to, Insidious. I actually let Howard roll against Toughness for once because basically he intimidated the enemy by tanking 6 bolter shells because he has an incredibly high toughness and was wearing power armor. And, yeah. So I let one of my players use toughness because that was what they did to intimidate. It all depends on that. But strength is Scholastic Lore, Tactica Imperialis. So basically, familiarity with the familiarity with the basic Imperial tactic and sort of thing. Then we got Secret Tongue Military, so codes and slang of the Imperial Guard. Speak Language Low Gothic. Which is Intelligence. So, it's just going to be interesting because a lot of our skills are intelligence-based. Lots of weapon training in the talents section. Okay. Ooh. Okay, so we got, and speak language. Oh, so low Gothic. Low Gothic. The idea behind, that's the end. Low Gothic is that humanity, its fractured part, speaks a High Gothic, is an old language from Terra, usually represented as Latin, used for all the official administratum business and in the high society. Low Gothic is sort of basically the language of humanity in the 41st millennium. It's a mishmash of a bunch of different Earth languages mixed with thousands of years of slang, mixed with God knows what else. All created together. It is a little... it's mutually comprehensible, mostly, but difficult sometimes. Imagine taking someone from rural Alabama and putting them in a room with someone from northern Scotland, and putting them in a room with someone from Australia, and someone from South Africa, and getting them all to talk to each other. All of them are hypothetically speaking English. But would be a lot of confusion and missteps and stuff like that. It's that kind of differential. It's like mutually comprehensible, kinda, but difficult. So starting talents is basic. Okay. Basic weapon training, universal. We got pistol weapon training. Melee weapon training. So, so we get one melee weapon of choice to start with. And I'm not sure what, here, hang on a second. Let me check my, yeah, it's getting a little, let me do one thing first. Yeah. There we go. It should be a little better. I know I probably need a better lighting setup, but we're working with this for now. Yeah, I also probably need a better camera, but I have one and I use it for my dice. I did manage to get, we'll see how much I find a job. Once I find a job and get steadily working, I'm going to maybe spring for a better camera, and then we'll go from there. Melee weapon. Oh yes, sorry. I was working on Odette's weapon skills and things. Yeah. So she's got some interesting stuff, and we also have an equipment list for her of different things that she's wearing. Yeah, that's it. We got her. Okay. Yeah, probably because I started off on the wrong foot, but I mean, I never really. Melee weapon training. Oh yes, thrown weapon training. So things like throwing knives. And we got sound constitution. Which offers a bonus to checks made to resist stuff like poison and other things. Sorry, I know it seems silly, but he always does this thing where he's like he wants food, and I feel bad just there. Sorry, I know breaking the string to feed the fish is a little. Oh yeah, he's eating now. He was hungry. Okay. Yeah, you do that. Okay. So now we have starting gear for her, and then I have to end up with 250 worth of skill advances, which I think in this case just means a bump to weapon skill and a bump to toughness. What it does is give you a +5. If I remember correctly. Yeah, let me look at something very quickly for. Yeah, it's a +5. What we're doing? Oh yeah, starting gear. So I can either do good craftsman hellgun, or a long las, or 2 bolt pistols, plus 1 primitive melee weapon of choice with a mono upgrade. So a mono upgrade. The theory behind mono upgrades is that the edge is exactly 1 molecule wide, or I don't know if it's exactly. It's extremely, yeah, it's. Ooh. Progressive stem. Yeah, I don't want to do mounting. So the theory behind that is that it has a really, really sharp edge, and one of the arch militant in the one Rogue Trader campaign I do play, ended up taking a shield, and he has basically a Captain America style shield that he carries that has a really, really sharp edge. Doesn't use it too often. He goes for the bolter usually, but he has it. So we could do something like an axe, a sword, a dagger, machete. No, we're going with a machete. I'm sure there's something in the thing that would allow for a knife of some sort, and we can there's stats for something like that. And if not, I can reskin like a sword, because you know what? Choose a freaking machete. I've decided a mono-edged machete, because which means good craft. So she gets a hellgun or a long las or 2 bolt pistols. Go for the bolt pistols. Bolt pistols are clutch weapon. The theory behind bolt pistols is that they sorry, my nose itches. The theory behind bolt pistols is that they shoot very, very small grenades. Now, a full-on a bolter shoots something about, well, it's water bottle size, so about yay big. Like grenades about this size, but maybe a little smaller than this. But this is fish food, so it's sorry, because that's what I have. That's right about the right size, because I keep it here because I have a little fish just off to the side who is my streaming buddy, and I keep his food there. So about that size, yeah, grenades of about that size. That's a bolter. That's a full. Usually it's set on a tripod or wielded by Space Marines, who are genetically engineered to be bigger than regular humans, and also wear power armor. The other bolters. The bolt pistols are the rounds are much smaller, and they're usually kept by commissars and other high-ranking Imperial officers. They they have they're about pistol size, and they have a smaller round that still packs a punch. They basically explode on contact. They're bullets that explode on contact, like grenades, kind of, and just blow out internal organs, usually brains, because usually it's summary execution, bullet to the back of the brainstem, because that's what commissars do to troopers who don't obey their commands. In most cases. Sometimes there are Depends on the commissar, obviously. But anyway, so Odette has 2 of those. So she's rocking some weapons and a mono machete. And okay, so she also has a microbead, which is a small earpiece with Vox communication, a void suit. Survived the void of space, enforcer, light carapace armor, which gives some protection. Bolt shell keepsake. From some forgotten battleground. A medikit. That's always helpful. Manacles. Just happen to have a set of manacles. I'm going to say 3 doses of stim. Basically, data slate full of wanted bounties or arms coffer or 3 doses of stim. I'm going to go with 3 doses of stim. Because she seems like, I don't think she'd be interested in bounties. And then we're just going to bump up her weapon skill and toughness, both by 5. It's 41. That's pretty good. And toughness brings that up to 32, which means that her number of wounds goes up by 2 as well, because toughness bonus goes up. So that goes up to 12. Would go up to 14 if her toughness goes above 40, which it probably won't, because that's another 2 ranks, which is, let's see, 500 plus 750. So that's another 1,000 experience points before she boosts her toughness that high, and that's without taking any, lore skills or, any of the other cool stuff that might be useful for stuff. Okay. She's got that going for her. So yeah, that's Odette. We rolled her up randomly on the origin path, the same way we did Janthine, and so this is where I would ask, if I had more people in the chat, whether or not I should do world building for her home ship, say, and try to suss out the story of what happened with that, or whether I should what was I planning to do? Sorry. So I could either do Odette, figure out her planet, her ship of origin. I could figure out their entire ship, and so yeah, I could also do like a ship put together build for that. Figure out the story with the orcs, put together a ship for the ship they're on currently, which contains these 2, or I could roll up another character completely randomly and see what we get. Yeah. Let me... I'm gonna do... I guess I could roll for it. I don't, usually approve of such shenanigans, but I could roll for it. I suppose, if none of you are up to... Right, so, we're gonna put what I'm doing up here. Plus is... and I'm gonna say what I'm putting on each symbol and then stick with what I roll, because it wouldn't be very fair otherwise. And I'll show the roll too. I have a dice cam, which I think is pretty cool, which is down here. Dice cam, there we go. Oop, let me just nudge this back into... Sorry, I moved my dice camera a little bit, and now it... There we go. Also not... No. There. There we go. There we go. That's my dice cam. And these are all my usual dice. I do have others. I show off my main horde on stream occasionally, but I do have even more than that. I also have this one that I'm holding just off camera. These I'm saving for our stream. That's what I was supposed to do. Sorry, I was supposed to put out a message saying that I was going to stream on a certain platform, and I didn't. But these red and black ones that I have here from Chefx, I am saving. I am not using any of them until I play Ethan again on July 9th on Honeybee Crafter stream. We are going to do that. So that's kind of exciting. But yeah. Okay. So, oh yes, I'm going to roll for, I'm going to do, plus is, I'm going to use a fudge die. So this is plus, 2 sides of pluses, 2 sides that are blank, that one and this one, and then 2 sides that are minuses. And the idea behind a die like this is that if you have, it's a D3, essentially. So, although created for the Fate game, which basically you have to get more positives than negatives in any given roll to succeed, and you get to roll a certain number of die. You get to roll more die if they, different factors in. But a what was I going to say? The theory is that I use it for D3s because certain die do D3 worth of damage. Acid Splash, for example, in first edition Pathfinder does D3 worth of damage. So for spells like that, having something like this is very helpful. Oh yes, so for plus, we're going to go with, and I used those on the Origin Path tree as well when I did Odette and Genthine, although for Odette, it ended up being evens odds a lot. I rolled it on this D20 just because she tended to stick toward the edge. She ended up on the edge and just kept going, and she had a 50-50 chance to jag inward every time, and she just didn't. So she just kept going down the edge, which is fine. Yes, is the ship. Minus being character creation. And blank being or that's home ship. And the battle with the orcs, that is her kind of home, and how they got involved battling orcs, and how that went. Okay, so I'll put something cool. But I'm gonna roll for it. We're gonna do this. This is gonna be fun stuff. Here we go. Alright, I'm not looking. Plus. Okay. Guess we're doing shipbuilding. So, there's actually I have used this exactly once, and then I ended up just not using a lot of the ship mechanics, especially because I added one ship-to-ship battle, and the player said it was boring when I ran my Rogue Trader campaign, so they spend a lot of time just going from place to place, and then, oh, I forgot to have them roll for that. Right, DM mix-ups. But yeah, I could create a ship, and it's actually kind of fun, and I'll walk you through it. It's kind of cool. We can roll randomly for all sorts of stuff, so, and just, go with that. So, The idea being that okay. Let's go with I'm gonna just read the background on starships, and then, you know, it's a couple pages of background. It's interesting to read, I think so, and it'll give us kind of background on this. To a rogue trader, nothing is more important or valuable than his starship. True, his warrant of trade provides him with authority, his resources give him power, and his matchless ambition equips him with the drive to accomplish true greatness. However, without a starship, a rogue trader is no more powerful than a planetary governor or general in the Imperial Guard. With it, though, he can travel beyond the bounds of the Imperium, explore the unknown, and exploit it for his profit. At a starship's helm, he can smite his foes with the fury of macro batteries and even invade entire planets. With his starship, a rogue trader can wield more power than any single individual, save those in the highest strata of the Imperium. The void-faring vessels of the Imperium are far more than simple vehicles. With the smallest more than a kilometer in length, a void ship bears a striking resemblance to an Imperial hive in miniature, with population to match. There are low-decks pressmen and servitors responsible for brute labor. The gunner teams who man the ship's weaponry, and the armsmen who keep order among the crew. However, there are also galley masters, artisans of all types, surgeons, mech rights. For void ship must be self-sufficient in all respects. There are those whose ties to the vessel are more complicated. The adepts of the Mechanicus keep the Engineering as their stronghold, but roam throughout the vessel to tend the myriad of devices. The priests of Ministorum wanted the vessel well to keep the souls of the crew free from corruption. Finally, there are the navigators, aloof within their sanctum towers. Though they obey the orders from the ship's captain, he is not their master. All of this presides the Lord Captain, the sole master, and commander of his vessel. Small wonder that a rogue trader sees a ship not as a collection of tech systems, but a living, breathing community of his sworn servants. So yeah, ships are a big thing. Is the takeaway of that. Those who serve aboard a starship see themselves as set apart from the rest of the Imperium. Even the lowest press gang crew scum will have a chance to travel to a different world, a privilege most Imperial citizens do not even know exists. And they make that journey aboard a mighty vessel. When a master gunner fires a single broadside, he is unleashing city-destroying firepower, and tech priests of the Engineering control engines of unimaginable potency. It is little surprise that when a ship's crewman finds himself on the surface of a distant world, he's apt to treat those he encounters with condescension, if not outright contempt. After all, they will never leave their planet of birth. The crewmen, on the other hand, have seen something of the wider universe and has measured some of its marvels and perils. It is also unsurprising that after many years aboard a ship, the crewman finds it is more familiar than the world he left behind. To a seasoned voidman, the rumblings and mutterings of a space-going vessel as natural as birdsong and rain are to a planet dweller. Starship crews spend years, even decades, aboard their ship without setting foot planetside. Eventually, a fresh, cool breeze and the sound of wildlife seem unnatural. A true voidsman is intimately familiar with almost imperceptible vibrations of the ship's main drives and can tell whether his vessel is at rest, accelerating, or maneuvering simply by subtle changes in the background noise. Over this is the rattling of the transfer fans, the crackle snap of static discharge, and, if the ship is traveling through a warp, a million brilliant sibilant whispers beyond the edge of consciousness. A voidsman quickly learns which sounds are normal and to react quickly when he hears something out of the ordinary. Interposed throughout this background noise is the chatter of vox summoners, shipwide orders, signal tones. Aboard a starship where vital systems must be manned at all times, even the simple concepts like day and night must be artificially regulated. Every shipmaster has his own preferred method of signaling shift changes. For example, Chartist trader Elizabeth Orleans preferred hymns of choral plainsong extolling the God Emperor, whilst Master Privateer Ignace Zor has cherub servitors beat martial gongs. It is said that after the infamous rogue trader Traven Sebastian lost his sanity, he had his senior warrant officer ride a midget equine through the quarters with sounding a bugle to announce watch chains. However, no matter the ship or its master, all vessels have an alarm so strident and so wrenching that no one can ignore it. This is reserved for one of the three worst possible situations on a ship: imminent combat, depressurization, or warp incursion. The anatomy of the starship. In the 41st millennium, spacefaring vessels, a spacefaring vessel is rare and precious. Ships takes decades, even centuries, to build if the builders have required skills and knowledge base in the first place. It is rare to find a new starship. Most are hundreds or thousands of years old, and some date back to the earliest days of the Imperium. Therefore, ships are never mass-produced, and even two ships of the same class are rarely alike. A lunar-class cruiser produced in the shipyards of Mars will be vastly different from another lunar hailing from the docks of Port Rath. However, regardless of class or configuration, all ships share certain components and design similarities. All starships, for example, require plasma drives to propel them through space, armor, and void shields to protect them, and a hull to contain these systems. In Rogue Trader, ships have components, the various parts that make up the starship. Some of these are vital, such as light support systems and genitoria facilities. Without them, the ship will not function. Others, such as weapon batteries or luxury passenger quarters, are useful but not essential. A ship's components, in turn, affect the ship's characteristics. These characteristics are similar to the characteristics of a Rogue Trader player. They represent various abilities of a ship. Characteristics for ships are slightly different, is speed, maneuverability, detection, void shields, armor, hull integrity, power generation, components, turret rating, weapon capacity, and ship points. Speed, how fast the ship can move in real space, which is kind of useless if you're going to and from the void, but useful for traveling within a certain system. Maneuverability measures how quickly the ship can change direction, avoid obstacles, evade incoming fire. Detection measures the power of a vessel's auspexes and augers, and how well they can see their surroundings. Void shields are an insubstantial energy barrier that surrounds a ship, protected from enemy attacks. Very useful if someone starts firing on your ship. Armor protects the ship from incoming weapons fire, as well as collisions from celestial rocks, dust, and other detritus. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's a lot. Okay. Hull integrity. Hull integrity is a measure of how reinforced the ship's interior is and how much damage a ship can take before breaking up. Isolated compartments, reinforced bulkheads, and blast doors increase hull integrity, while long, open passageways and substandard materials decrease it. Power generation measures the energy of the ship's generation to run its myriad components. If the component is unpowered, it will not function. Space. Space measures the room in the ship for various components. If there is not enough space for a component, it cannot be contained within the ship's hull. Turret rating. A starship turret rating is an abstract representation of how many defensive turrets it had. Turrets are small, short-range weapons used for shooting down small attack craft and torpedoes. Weapons capacity. These are locations on a starship that have enough room to house the massive main weaponry of starships in the 41st millennium. And SP is ship points. So that just basically is when you construct starships, when you're building starships, you get a certain number of ship points, and each upgrade costs a certain number of points. So when you start out, as well as designing a character, you design your ship. You choose what kind of weapon systems, what kind of life support systems, and they each use a certain amount of power and take up a certain amount of space. And if you get better systems, they use less power and less space, but also cost more ship points. So that's generally part of the creation process of setting a setup, is to create the ship for a Rogue Trader vessel, which I think is kind of cool. The idea that these two characters we've created are on a ship, and that the ship is a Rogue Trader vessel running through space, is kind of imperative to the way their characters are created. So, yeah, we're gonna basically design and build. Well, we're not gonna build a ship, but the same way I didn't create a character, like will her into being just by describing her. Basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this the ship creation rules to create a ship. that contains a crew, and in this crew is Adet and Genthina. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make more characters. We're going to have a little bit of history with the ship. I'm going to do a few streams every week, for Rogue Trader, because I think I really like Rogue Trader, and I want to share it with you guys. So my plan is to do a few Rogue Trader streams per week, and slowly build up a crew of Rogue Trader and a ship. But, yeah, and this starts with the ship. We'll have to give the ship a name first, but first, figure out the characteristics and set up the systems. And like a character's characteristics, ship characteristics are represented using numbers. However, unlike character's ship characteristics are not ranked on a scale of 1 to 100. This is because, unlike a character, a ship is an inanimate object. The best ship in the Imperium are useless without an equally competent crew to operate it. Therefore, most ship characteristics are treated as static numbers to be tested against, similar to character's wounds or a piece of armor's AP value. Other characteristics, notably maneuverability and detection, are bonuses or penalties that may be added when a character on board the ship makes an appropriate skill test. These represent the concept that some ships are more maneuverable or have better augers than others, and a skilled operator is able to get more out of them. A ship's baseline characteristics are determined by its hull type. Some hulls, such as transport, are roomier and able to hold more. Other hulls, such as a raider, are designed for speed and maneuverability, but are cramped and relatively fragile. These baseline characteristics can be modified depending on components within the ship's hull. Components can provide benefits and drawbacks. For example, larger plasma drives may make the ship faster and provide more power, but they will also take up space, which could have gone given over to other components. On the other hand, reinforced adamantine armor plating can increase a ship's armor, but its speed and maneuverability might suffer from the increased mass. Some of the ship's various components will be discussed later in the chapter. First, basic hull types. So it's making sense so far. Ship's hull, so every, at the beginning of every chapter they have these, of Rogue Trader, they have these, at the beginning of every section, too, they have these quotes. So this one is, and I'm going to see if I can do a clever accent for this. Let me tell you something, sir. Those pirate scum may have bested your sprint trader, but now they face a cruiser of his holy navy. They'll not be so lucky again. That's a quote from, I don't know what that voice was, but apparently it's Imperial-sounding voice. Lord Captain Wilhelm Ross, Port Wander. A ship's hull determines much about a ship. Primarily, the hull dictates how much space is available for the ship's components, but hulls also place limits on speed, maneuverability, and ship integrity, even armor. Although ship's hulls are almost always different in size or shape, they can be organized into several general types: transport, raider, frigate, light cruiser, and cruiser. Sorry, just a little more water. I'm going to start on the ship. I'm going to read through different ship types, I think, and then we're probably going to end up with a cruiser, I guess? We'll see how, I'll have to assign a ship point budget, but also, make it fairly high, because I have something planned for this. Actually, here's a thought. Well, okay, if I keep doing the Rogue Trader stream long enough, you'll see this thought come into fruition. If you don't, you never will. But it's gonna be cool. Either way, we're gonna have a ship. We're gonna, get the component pieces. It's gonna be a cruiser, I think. Like a light cruiser, probably. Nothing like huge, but powerful and a lot of weapons. We're gonna do some cool stuff. It's gonna have, I'm gonna put stats. We're gonna have stats and different compartments and play around with it a little bit. See what we can do. And then we're going to, and if it takes longer than half an hour, I promised I'd raid into Jay's stream. That's the idea. So, Jay, or also known as Lord Zumba on Twitch, is a really cool typical RPG guy. He does Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, like 1st and 2nd edition, kind of old school, an expert on Orth, which is Greyhawk setting, and generally pretty cool. He does like lore shows and all sorts of stuff. Today he's doing a real play with a special guest, including Blue Box RPG, who is the only reason I started streaming is because of Blue Box RPG, honestly. And I know a lot of you come to these streams, but I do owe a lot to him, and I want to support him. So we're all going raiding, however many, like 3, 4 people are here. We're going to all go over to that stream at 7:30. It is 6:54 now, so we're going to start on the ship. I know we waste a lot of time with the reading, but I think it helps provide background. If you guys want, I know there's not a lot of you out there, but say hi in the chat also. I should encourage you to do so always, because it's always fun to have people talk in the chat, and then we can kind of, you know, I tend to get caught off guard more easily if I don't have people in the chat. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's true. You probably noticed that as I've gone through. So definitely say hi in the chat. But other than that, yes, I'm gonna read about the different types of ships and then probably pick a cruiser, and then we're gonna go from there. Sound good? All right, here we go. There are, of course, more hull types than those mentioned. Battleships and battlecruisers are 2 examples of such hull types. However, these vessels are extremely rare and beyond the resources of all but the most affluent rogue traders, and will not be covered in the book. Okay. Transports are easily the most common starship found in the Imperium, tasked with the often thankless job of hauling goods from one end of the galaxy to the other. Transports are large, slow, and designed to carry as much cargo as possible within their hulls. Nevertheless, these vessels are almost single-handedly responsible for maintaining the integrity of humanity's domain. Hive worlds, for example, would not survive long without regular shipments of food and water from agri-worlds, and for many far-flung colonies, the regular passage of chartist, captain, or tramp freighter is their only communication with the larger Imperium. Transports sacrifice speed, maneuverability, and armor in exchange for cargo space. While they often have some weapons, they are no match for a true combatant. Thus, transports are often prime targets for pirates. A rogue trader with a transport will have to rely on his wits to get him out of sticky situations rather than his guns. However, if he chooses to focus on mercantile pursuits to make his fortune, he will find no better vessel to aid him. Raiders. Raiders are broad vessel class of hulls covering anything from privateers, destroyers used in the Imperial Navy. Typically, a raider denotes a vessel designed for speed and combat. This makes them popular with many pirates and buccaneers who raid the space lanes, preferring to strike lone vessels swiftly, then flee before they should be noticed by a Navy patrol. The Imperial Navy also makes use of raiders, referred to as destroyers, though they prefer to outfit them with heavy, ship-crippling munitions such as torpedoes and send them out to hunt larger vessels. Destroyers' superior speed and maneuverability means they can close the range, launch, and escape before the target can fire on them, most of the time. Raiders are some of the fastest ships in the Calixis sector, and the Kronos Expanse. Their speed and maneuverability is unmatched by other classes, and their firepower is often as good as other vessels of comparable tonnage. To achieve this, however, raiders sacrifice armor and other defenses, along with cargo and stowage space. In essence, they are glass cannons, unable to throw out heavy fire, but able to throw out heavy fire, but unable to take it in turn. Instead, they rely on evasive maneuvering and high speed to stay out of reach of the guns from heavier craft. Heavy raiders are a subset of raiders with larger hulls, packed with more weapons. They also have more powerful engines, allowing a heavy raider to carry better armor. They may not be as nimble as their smaller cousins, but given a straight run, most captains find a heavy raider's legs are just as long. A rogue trader must have a talented tactical mind and a skilled pilot and crew in order to make the most of a raider. The ships are designed for piracy, devious deeds, and little else. But if that is what a rogue trader sets his mind to, he'll find no vessel better to suit his needs. Frigate. In many ways, frigates, that's interesting, are the pinnacle of the shipbuilder's art. Lean, fast, and dangerous, frigates can outrun anything they can't fight and destroy anything they can catch. Frigates fill the ranks of Battlefleet Calixis, where they are prized commands for the youngest and most aggressive naval captains. While a frigate may not seem as prestigious as a cruiser or battleship, versatility means that they are Navy's ship choice for all manner of actions. Frigates are tasked for convoy exploits, patrols, anti-piracy operations, and even attack on rebel ships and stations. They routinely skirmish with frigates and raiders of seditionists, pirates, even hostile Xenos races. Thus, frigate captain is in the mix more often than his counterparts aboard a battlefleet's larger vessel. Frigates are balanced between all aspects of ship design: speed, maneuverability, firepower, and defense. A skilled mechanicus shipwright can even increase the cargo capacity and supply stowage without greatly reducing other aspects. They are also a relatively common ship, often with robust, simple designs. Therefore, they are easily modified and maintained. There are countless stories of the Calix's sector of crippled frigates lost in space, only to limp into port months after their crews had effected emergency repairs. All this means frigates are some of the most desired ships for enterprising rogue traders. A frigate provides a rogue trader with almost unlimited options. Trade, exploration, conquest, piracy are all possible with a properly outfitted frigate and a captain of pluck and nerve at the helm. So maybe a frigate. Light cruisers are the eyes and ears of the battle fleet. Smaller and faster than true cruisers, light cruisers have massive fuel and supply reserves for deep void patrols. They last for years, even decades, and thus light cruiser commanders must be independent-minded and self-reliant. Light cruisers are also used as flagships of small squadrons of frigates and destroyers tasked with escorting convoys or hunting pirates. A light cruiser's design is usually balanced between combat and endurance. They have advantage of being only slightly slower and less maneuverable than a frigate, while mounting a capital ship's armament. This is accomplished, however, by giving light cruisers substantially less armor and reinforced interior bulkheads than a proper cruiser. In short, light cruisers are faster and more maneuverable than standard cruisers, but much more fragile. While the rogue trader light cruiser may seem attractive, however, there are several hurdles that will have to overcome. Capital warships are substantially rarer in the Calix's sector than frigates, raiders, or transports, and are usually only found in the Imperial battle fleet. Even if a rogue trader is able to procure one, the advanced technologies and arcane knowledge required to maintain such a vessel is rare, often only found in naval yards and forge worlds. Finally, light cruisers are built as warships, and converting them to other uses can be difficult. A rogue trader has the resources to overcome these issues, however, find himself at the helm of a ship perfect for exploration or more, with few equals in Imperial space. And then cruisers themselves. A cruiser is a warship through and through. These are the ships of the line of battle fleet Calixis, heavy hitters that fight major naval engagements. These ships are rare. Building one takes centuries, if not longer, and require knowledge and technology from mankind's golden age, now only known to the most powerful magos. However, each vessel, often 5 or more kilometers long, carries the firepower to burn planets. They are designed to win wars, and the Imperial Naval guards them zealously. Cruisers carry large banks of weapons and are heavily armored. They are huge engines, but due to their size and speed, maneuvering is not spectacular. This is good for a cruiser's smaller opponents, since their only chance against these behemoths is to flee. Indeed, cruiser designers expect their craft will most often fight other cruisers and will mount powerful weapons designed specifically to slay these ships. For rogue trader, a cruiser vessel filled with both promise and peril. All problems that come with a light cruiser are multiplied tenfold here. Often these vessels cannot be bought for any amount of money and may only be procured through some truly worthy deed or equally villainous scheme. Even if a rogue trader managed to get his hands on a cruiser, he will find a universe of enemies scheming to take it from him. A cruiser is an invaluable treasure, after all. However, a rogue trader with the resources, cunning, and ruthlessness to get a cruiser and keep it is an unrivaled power beholden to no one but himself. Alright, so I'm tempted to give these guys either a cruiser or a light cruiser, but I think a frigate would probably be... Well, that's an interesting question. So, a frigate or a light cruiser would depend on the prestige of the captain. And if everything goes according to my plan, which, okay, granted, I'm rolling a lot of these characters randomly on die. So, according to plan is not something I'd say. So I'm going to start with a frigate, actually. And if we want to, if the plan comes to fruition, and I do enough of these videos that, well, you'll see, do enough of these Rogue Trader Days streams. I know I don't get a lot of viewers for them, but they're quite fun, and I do hope more people come to appreciate it eventually. But my plan on that was... Sorry. I'm And also, I do have a home ship. I could do that as another 7:04 now. Okay. I'm just trying to keep track of time. So I'm doing a lot of reading and stuff. Which is fine. Because this is a really cool game and I want to share it with all of you. But the plan, such as it is to run through Rogue Trader, make this frigate. We're going to start with the frigate, and then we'll, I'm going to work on this for a little bit. We're going to come up with a component. And then I was thinking I could do another Rogue Trader stream. So tomorrow is, I'm trying to piece together how I'm going to play this for later streams. Because I'm still putting together a weekly schedule. So Tuesday and Thursday I think will be Warhammer days, and then tomorrow I will do a back to D&D or back to Pathfinder First Edition streams, and we'll do more for Nicolette will do more of that gang and maybe some other people in the city, and then in the capital some of the Majos for the Wizard College will do some of their stuff like that, and then on Tuesday I'll go back and do more characters for this ship that we're building, which I'm going to start now. I'm probably going to end up finishing it on next Tuesday on stream, and then go from there. That sounds like a plan. I'm going to... yeah, that sounds like our plan for now. So, let me keep reading about components. Ships are made up of various... Sorry. Here we go. All contained within a ship's hull. These components are what makes a ship a ship. Without them, it would be only an empty framework. There are two types of components: essential components and supplemental components. Essential components are what ships need in order to operate. These include the bridge, plasma drive, warp drive, life support, and the like. Supplemental components may be useful, but a ship can still operate without them. They include cargo bays, weapons, and passenger quarters. Components used to finite resources on a ship: space and power. There's a limited amount of power within a ship's hull, and a ship's plasma drive only provides so much energy. A component needs both in order to be used by the ship's crew. If a component does not have power, it is unpowered. Unpowered components are lightless, powerless sections of a ship where there is no gravity and no air. Those who wish to enter must use void suits. Needless to say, they do not provide any of their listed benefits or bonuses to the ship. If a component does not have space, it is exposed. Exposed components are mounted on the outside of the ship's hull. They can still have power and be used. A passenger pod could be suspended outside of the ship and still have a light, heat, and air. However, the module does not receive any benefits of the ship's armor or structural integrity. During combat, they will absorb the first hits to make it through the ship's void shields and be destroyed. Any crew unfortunate enough to occupy the component at the time will be killed. However, some components will have an external trait. These components have been designed to be mounted on the outside of Starship's hull, and they're placed in protected alcoves or shielded by strange technologies. An external component does not take up space and cannot be destroyed except by digital hit. So then we have a list of essential components. There's another quote here. I'm going to do another fun voice for it. I don't care if the power's out in the passenger quarters. If I don't get the main drive conduit patched, we're all second vacuum. Bosun McCade. Oh, that's a good voice for him. On board the Vigilant Aquila. All ships have certain vital components without which they could not operate. These components are included in the ship's basic design. They cannot be removed, but may be upgraded, replacing older and less useful components with more powerful versions. These essential components are specifically for starships capable of warp travel. A system defense monitor or inner system tug, for example, would not require a warp drive or Geller field. A warp-capable ship essential components are the following: hull, the framework on which starship is constructed. A hull, more than anything else, defines a starship. This is also one of the few components that cannot be upgraded. Plasma drives. Gigantic edifices of almost incomprehensible technology. Plasma drives take up immense amount of space within a starship's hull. Without one, a starship is little better than a cold, drifting tomb. Warp drives. The vast majority of starships are consigned to toil through space at speeds much slower than light. They They have the unenviable choice of remaining trapped within a single star system or spending centuries traveling to even the closest suns. The warp drive provides a shortcut, allowing the vessel to enter a terrifying realm known as the Immaterium. If a ship can survive here, it can reach destinations within weeks or months instead of years. Essential for a rogue trader. Void shields. Void shields create a barrier of energy around a starship. The weaker versions of on transports exist mainly to deflect celestial debris, while military vessels' void shields strong enough to absorb incoming fire. Galar Field. The void shield protects starships as base. There is no use against the nightmarish inhabitants of the warp. For that, a warp-capable ship requires a Galar Field. This technology has existed since before the Age of Strife and creates a bubble of normalcy in that realm of chaos and makes sure its creatures stay outside the hull. For the most part. Galar Fields can fail and flicker, and some fun stuff happens when it does. Life Sustainer. Without the pumps, bellows, and filters of Life Sustainer, the air in the starship would soon become toxic fog and the water undrinkable sludge. Life Sustainers purify the ship's atmosphere and recycle waste to produce clean water. Crew compartments. Even the smallest transports require thousands of crew members to operate. Many are menial laborers, press gang from depths of hives. Others are skilled voidsmen trained to operate the starship's many systems. Regardless, they all require a place to live, be it moldy bunker or well-appointed cabin. Bridge. Just like every body must have a head, every starship must have a bridge. Here, from the command pulpit, the captain directs his vessel and the actions of his thousands of crew. There is also advanced cogitators that direct the ship's targeting system, sensors, and other systems. Sensors. Sight is of little use when dealing with the vast distances of the void. Auspexes, grav detectors, and auger arrays can spy the reflected light from tumbling asteroid, the heat from an enemy vessel, thousands or millions of kilometers away. More advanced sensors can even spot warp wake of vessels traversing the Immaterium. Of course, if you have a navigator with that skill set, they can also read warp trails. That's a skill that certain navigators have, but that isn't mentioned in this chapter. I just threw that in because it's useful information. They're not needed for a ship to exist. Many supplemental components are vital for starship's operations and even survival. There are many different types of supplemental components, aiding in everything from combat to cargo transport. Some of the more common types are weapons, passenger compartments, armor, plating, cargo holds, and distinctive armor prows of the Imperial warship, made of 30 meters of adamantium or more. And there's a whole list of them somewhere else. When creating a starship, players should proceed along the following step. First step is select a hull. A list of hulls is found on the first 2 pages, divided by class, transport, raider, frigate, light cruiser, and cruiser. Once the players have their hull, they roll on a complications chart, gaining 1 past history complication and 1 machine spirit quirk complication. Alternatively, the GM can select these complications instead. Now, as a GM, I'm all for selecting these complications, but for this we are rolling, because I am rolling for everything. I rolled to create a ship, instead of, say, another of the rogue trader characters with the, or figuring out, although, interestingly, knowing a history of the background of how to do ships would kind of be useful when doing world building for a Death's Home ship, which I will have to do eventually, and how it came in contact with this rogue, how it ended up fighting, one of the crew members ended up fighting orcs, and how that went. There's a story there that I need to tease out, which I think is pretty cool. I'm building up a ship full of really cool rogue trader characters, just to show you guys how cool the 41st Millennium and Warhammer 40k is. That's my goal, essentially, with this. And I know it's not the only way to do it, but I think this is really cool. We're going to build up a starship. I know I spend a lot of time reading about the different types, but we're actually getting to the construction part. Yeah, okay. And then we're going to have... So we're going to have 1 roll tonight, basically, for ship complications. And that'll be fun. Probably, given the amount of time we have left till Jay's stream and our plans. Next, players must select what type of crew the vessel has. They start with a competent crew. With a skill level 30, the cost of the crew is included with the cost of the starship's hull. If the player wishes to, they can gain an additional 5 ship points to spend on their vessel by downgrading their crew to incompetent. Likewise, we're going to have to figure out the ship point system. upgrade their ship to crack crew by spending 5 existing ship points. They may even up their crew to a veteran crew by spending 15 ship points. Next, the players must select one essential component from each of the essential component categories. Next, player may select supplemental components, managing the space and the power. The sum total of all the components' requirements may not exceed the space provided by the hull or power generated by the drive. Once the starship's components have been recorded, any benefit or drawback should be totaled and, if necessary, combined. Note that certain components can increase the ship's crew population or morale level above 100. This is acceptable and should set the new crew's new maximum level of crew population and morale. If damaged, the ship's crew population and morale can be restored back up to these maximums and not above them. This may seem strange since both crew population and morale are abstract representations rather than a concrete measurement of crew members or their loyalty. However, just consider these components as increasing the loyalty of the crew or the amount of warm bodies aboard the ship and subsequently making either value slightly more resilient to losses. For example, they do these little example boxes. A ship has the haunted complication, reducing its morale permanently by 10. However, players add extended supply vaults, increasing morale permanently by 1. At the end, the ship morale is permanently decreased by 9, which means the highest it can be is 91, essentially. So the idea is that the crew population is the percentage. Crew population and morale are basically percentages, essentially, unless you have a tweak on them. As such, if bad things happen to your crew, it can ding morale and it can decrease the amount of crew members. You have to find more crew members to fill up. You have to go to a planet where you can recruit people, either press gang them or lure them on, depending on your morals and what kind of crew member you need. And there's a whole system for it. Right. Hulls. Okay, because this is where we're getting to the good stuff. This is where we're getting to what it actually means to create a ship. The hull of a vessel is defined what type of ship it is. It is the abilities, components are made added to it, and the hull is the base characteristics of the ship, although they may be modified by certain components. No, sorry. That is... Okay, so transports are unexciting, but vital galactic commerce. So you got the Jericho class pilgrim vessel, list the dimensions, the mass, the crew, acceleration, converter, refinery vessels, huge fuel tanks are rebuilt into hundreds of passenger compartments. A single ship can hold many thousands of the faithful. Accommodations vary for those with the throne strip can be relatively pleasant, but most make do with bilge berths and corpse rations in the ship's carnivorous cargo bays. Repurposed to carry cargo, a Jericho can be. Ships themselves are large, slow, and unwieldy. Most use board some weapons to discourage pirates, so most buccaneers might look for richer targets. So it's got all of that. Note that this is 2.25 kilometers long and 0.3 kilometers of beam. So it's a big ship, and it's got 20,000 crew roughly. Then you got Vagabond class merchant trader. Vagabonds are small, multi-purpose merchant vessels, able to transport a wide variety of cargoes and even passengers. Popular amongst poorer chartist captains, these ships are unassuming, but reliable and even known to mount small broadsides for defense. What else? We got the Raiders. Azarath class privateer, comprises a variety of razor vessels, similar size and firepower. Many have been known to operate from the infamous Azarath Abyss, hence the name, and are popular with privateers. Most sacrifice cargo space and armor for improved engine and reinforced interior bulkheads. Allowing to flee anything they cannot fight. The Havoc Class, the heavy raider whose origin date back to before the reconquest of the Calixtus sector. Typical Havoc has fast engines, sizable cargo space, and a battery strength to rival many frigates. However, their armor is relatively weak, meaning that these glass cannons have a hard time going toe-to-toe with comparable naval vessels. Okay, frigates. Frigates are fast but powerful craft used in any number of roles. So I'm thinking, I'm going to read the description of the different frigates, but I'm thinking I'm going to roll for it because I kind of wanted to make this as random as possible for all of the things I've created for the 40k so far, with the exception of Viseria, who's simply a hive world. Their sword class frigates have been a mainstay escort vessel for Battlefleet Calixtus since its founding. Every system aboard one of these frigates has been tried and tested in innumerable engagements. Its laser-based weapons and turrets are accurate and hard-hitting. Plasma drives are rugged and reliable. In extreme conditions, few tasks do not include at least a pair of swords to guard the flanks. Large vessels or pursue smaller, faster raiders. More than a few rogue traders have noticed the stellar performance of these vessels and obtained one with few mana conversion to increase hold. Swords suit their needs quite well. Then you got the Tempest class strike frigate. Tempest is a specialized frigate produced in the Calixtus and surrounding sectors. It trades long-range firepower for heavy, short-range broadside designed to devastate enemies at knife fight distances. To get these distances, Tempests have triple armored prows and booster drives and often carry assault boats and large complements of ratings for boarding actions. These large quarters and hangar bays have been found very useful for other, more commercial purposes as well. Then we got light cruisers. Eyes and ears of the fleet. We got the Dauntless class light cruiser. We only have one for each. For light scouting cruisers and the eyes and ears of the Imperial fleet. They carry enough fuel and supplies for patrols that last months or even years, and the firepower to dispatch any smaller vessels foolish enough to close with them. The Dauntless is popular because it combines maneuverability of a frigate with a daunting forward lance armament. And then you got the Lunar class cruiser. The Lunar class cruiser makes up the backbone of Battlefleet Calixtus. It's relatively uncomplicated design. Sorry, that's the thing. The horn, it goes off every day around 7. Usually it goes off earlier. I'm surprised it didn't go off until now. Yeah, it's one of the benefits of working Pearl River. Sorry about that. Yes, we know. Okay. Uncomplicated design dates back to the dawn of the Imperium and can be constructed as at worlds normally unable to build a ship of the line. Its variety of weapon batteries, lances, and torpedoes make it both a versatile combatant and dangerous foe. Most rogue traders remove the torpedo tubes to add more cargo space instead. So those are that. So then they have one designed for cruisers and light cruisers because they know it's most GMs would probably say you can't get them. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna say Tempest class or Sword class frigates. I'm gonna roll for it because even Tempest odds Sword. Because honestly, I've been I feel like I haven't rolled anything except whether or not we should do a ship or should do more character creation. So yeah, if you guys are bored by the talk of all the ships, you could have spoken up on chat and said, let's do a character, and I would have easily done one. But, you know, ships are interesting, and I think it's going to be, in the long run, for my plans for making Warhammer a thing, because I really like to stream about it, and I know it's not everyone's favorite, so you guys don't have to come to the Warhammer streams, but I kind of want to keep going with it, because I'm excited about this, and this thing we're creating, and hopefully I'll get to share it in a more interesting format than just watching me read from the book and babble about all the cool Warhammer 40k lore, which there's a lot of, and yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna roll this d20 because I've been. You know what? No, we're gonna roll something else. I don't know which. Why don't we go with the d? Yeah, let's go with this. Not the percentile though. This d10. I like it. That's a d10. I'm gonna do evens odds. So any die die with an even number of sides, because that has the same number of even and odd numbers, is eligible to be used. This one we have D10 here. I'm going to roll it, and we're going to see whether we get a Tempest or a Strike Cruiser. And then, here we go. 3. That's odd, which means we're getting a Strike Cruiser. No, Swords Cruiser, sorry. Yeah, it's a sword. Here we go. Let me look. Swords Class Frigate. Yep. Tempest Class Strike Frigate or a Sword Class Frigate. We're getting a Sword Class Frigate. Alright. 20. Okay, so I'm going to write that down because now we've actually got things that matter. And the front page of my notebook is also coming off, so that's fun. We're going to have to figure out... that's notes on a character creation class I took at a convention with an author I greatly approve of. Anyway, so we got a sword class frigate. So dimensions. So we're going to go sword. I'm going to write this down. I say every single stream, most important world building tools, pen, because if you have a good idea and don't write it down. Dimension. 1.6 kilometers long, which is kilometers long and 0.3 kilometers a beam. Yeah, these ships are big. Like, it's got 6 megatons and a crew of 26,000-ish. So the acceleration is 4.5 gravity's max sustainable acceleration. Alright, so that's useful. And then we're going to put our speed is 8, not bad. So speed is 8. Detection is plus 15 to any check made with the sensors. Armor is 18, which means the first 18 damage don't do anything. Space is 40. Okay, that's not bad. Weapons, so it has 2 dorsal. So it has 2 dorsal weapons. Maneuverability of plus 20. So, hull integrity of, okay. Of 35. Which is sort of like the ship's turret rating, so it's got 2 turrets as well. So it says 40 ship points basic. So usually what you would do is give your players a certain number of ship points that they have to work with, and then as they add components, they have to, if they want to upgrade components to anything beyond basics, they have to spend ship points, and then, that's the theory. So, and the ship points is 40. I would say, yeah, the transport ships are only like 20, for example. It's 60 to get a cruiser, 55 for a light cruiser. So, so I'm gonna say we're almost 100 ship points. I'm being really generous with this because, like I said, there's a whole interesting backstory that I want to bring up for the rogue trader in charge of these ships. That we're gonna, you'll see, it's gonna be cool. But for now, we're gonna do sword class frigates, and then I'm gonna roll for some complications. All void ships have a story, many thousands of years old, and some were laid down in the Emperor's led humanity the Great Crusade. In that time they have watched the millennia of history come and go, seen the tides of wars ebb and flow, and experienced hundreds of captains, thousands of crew. Due to this, the ship is more than a collection of tech systems and armor plating. Any veteran voyager known to ship has its quirks and vagaries. Some vessels leap eagerly at the first hint of battle, their drives burning hot and their auger rays probing eagerly. Others falter at danger, their systems shorting and spurting until the vessel turns tail and flees. Some ships are solid and dependable, their systems lasting beyond their date of operations. Others play tricks on their crew, phantoms returning, ghosting, the Ostex displays, and strange sound whispers on the internal Fox. A good voyageman knows the personality of a ship and treats it like another member of the crew. We represent these in the game. These are represented by ship complications. Complications of benefits and deterrents make a ship unique. Two different types of complication. Past histories offer details about the ship's construction or salvage, and issues may arise from its past. Machine spirit oddities describe strange personality quirks of the ship's machine spirit has picked up over the millennia. While not alive or even self-aware, anyone who's been aboard a starship will swear that they have desires and fears and perform some tasks more willingly than others. Before creating a ship, ship's captain should roll once on each chart to determine which complication ship suffers from and note down each on the ship's sheet. Ugh. Okay, so these are D10 rolls. It is 7:30 now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue with the ship on Tuesday. I know it's craziness, but hopefully you guys enjoyed I know a lot of you watched, but hopefully you enjoyed the shipbuilding vibe and the character creation for Odette, the finishing up of Odette and her kind of like getting her gear and stuff settled, and then all of that. And we're gonna build up a crack crew of really interesting characters. I'm gonna, and you guys are all gonna learn from me all of the coolness that the Warhammer 40k world has to offer, and basically, yeah, that's our plan. And if I'm very lucky and the right people agree to help me out, maybe we can do something cool with this. But don't count on that. In the meantime, I'm going to go and check one thing very quickly, because we are rating... My plan was to stream till 7:30. Yep, Lord Gazumba. Okay, so we are rating Lord Gazumba. So what we're going to do is /raid... Alright, let me double check how to... Okay, I just want to check the spelling of... so that I get the raid right. Yep, and the capitalization, which is imperative. Let me just double check, get rid of this quickly so I can... Alright, here we go. Thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all tomorrow. I'm going to run another stream tomorrow. I do not know the time yet. I will post it on the schedule, and hopefully it'll be the same time next Friday. I'll keep them going until I find a job, which hopefully will be sooner rather than later, so bear with me. Okay, here we go.